Imagine a little girl, 9 years old, bent over a toilet, throwing up her lunch. That little girl was Maria Hornbacher. In her memoir, Wasted, a memoir of anorexia and bulimia, published in 1998, Hornbacher describes her struggles with eating disorders in excruciating detail. On the back cover of the book, Hornbacher explains that her purposes in writing the book were to keep other people from going through the nightmare she's been through, and to dispel societal misconceptions that oversimplify the causes of eating disorders. The narrative is arranged chronologically, beginning when Hornbacher is just 9 years old, all the way until she's 24. The memoir focuses almost exclusively on Hornbacher, while briefly mentioning her parents, her husband, and different healthcare professionals. She chronicles how having an eating disorder destroys every other aspect of one's life, consumes one's thoughts, pushes away one's friends and family, and robs one of their physical health. A book on the subject could easily be self-pitying, whiny and ranting that makes the reader want to cry. However, she saves the book from being an intolerable downer by introducing a lot of humor and an irreverent tone that makes the readers laugh despite the grim subject matter. An excellent example of Hornbacher's humor and irreverent tone is the 5-item list of reasons she provides why she is still alive on page 277. 1. Being sick gets singularly boring after a while. 2. I was really annoyed when I was told I was going to die, and rather petulantly went, well, fuck you, then I won't. 3. In a rare appearance by my rational self, I realized it was completely stupid and chicken shittish of me to check out of life because it had ruffled my feathers. 4. It struck me that it was entirely unoriginal to be starving to death. Everyone was doing it. It was, as a friend would later put it, totally passé. Totally 1980s. I decided to do something slightly less vogue. 5. I got curious. If I could get sick, then, I figured, I could bloody well get unsick. For example, in item number 1, the understatement of using the words a while to describe how long she's been sick are humorous when the reader knows that she's been sick for 15 years and still isn't fully recovered. In item 2, Hornbacher's defiant profanity is an unexpected and thus funny reaction to being told one will die. In item 3, it's funny when she puts herself down by saying she is chicken shittish and then uses a related metaphor when she says life had ruffled her feathers, because it brings to mind the image of Hornbacher as a chicken. In item number 4, Hornbacher describes her eating disorder as totally 1980s and makes an allusion to Vogue magazine, which is humorous because she compares her extreme lifelong illness to a trendy fashion. In item number 5, it's funny when she says she got curious about getting better when she was on the brink of death and suddenly decides she can bloody well get better. It's funny because most people would have thought that and how to get better a lot earlier, especially if they bloody well could. All of these examples of humor and irreverent tone show how Hornbacher addresses the serious matter of how eating disorders can be life-threatening without making the whole narrative overwhelmingly dark, sad, and pitiful. A second example of Hornbacher's humor and irreverent tone is found on one of the final pages of the memoir. But all this moot. Sometimes things just go awry. And when, after 15 years of binging, barfing, starving, needles and tubes, and terror and rage, and medical crises and personal failures and loss after loss, when, after all this, you are in your early 20s and starting a vastly abbreviated life expectancy, and the eating disorder still takes up half your body, half your brain, with its invisible eroding force, when you have spent the majority of your life sick, when you do not know yet what it means to be well or normal, when you doubt those words even have meaning anymore, there are still no answers. You will die young, and you will have no way to make sense of that fact. You have this, you're thin. Whoop-de-fucking-dee. All of the humor lies in the final line of this passage. Hornbacker's humorous whoop-de-fucking-dee is an ironic and unpredictably lighthearted response to the grim list of horrors that describe life with an eating disorder. Again, in the second example, Hornbacker is able to make real for the reader the seriousness and misery of an eating disorder without becoming too pitiful or depressing. With my summary of Maria Hornbacker's memoir and my close reading analysis of those two passages, it's easy to understand how she's able to maintain readers' attention with her humor and irreverent tone, and hopefully give them the opportunity to understand and learn from her struggles.